Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? What's good? How you guys doing this Monday morning? We are back with another episode of Coffee and Sports in the Morning. Shout out to everybody that's coming through the chat. We got my boy on side of me, Jonathan. My guy right here down to below me to my left is Chris, Mr. Chris, and my right-hand man for the morning show, Mo Better. How are you guys doing this morning, man?
Doing great, guys. How's it going, Chris?
Morning. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I had a good weekend, enjoying a nice Monday with you guys.
Yep. So we got some interesting topics, and you guys stay tuned for the last bit of the morning show. Mo will not be able to give his take on the box that he gonna go with, but we gonna hold that out to tomorrow. But I got it. That doesn't mean I don't, because me and Mo, I'm a boxing guy too. So we will be talking about the great Andre Ward, SOG Ward. Y'all haven't watched that guy fight. Guy was like the Floyd Mayweather of the bigger division, 168-pound division. He was type like that. We don't get into his background story in a minute. But other than that, let's get right into the topic. So we got James Harden again, acting like a clown, acting a fool on the IG thing, on the IG part of side of thing. Look, Chris already know. Chris is already laughing about it. So James Harden comes out on this IG post. It says things are getting uncomfortable. Jonathan, I will start with your reaction right here.
I mean, that's the era we are in with athletes now. Is the first thing they have to do is something on social media or create a buzz or create a talking point. And that's exactly what James Harden did, was creating a talking point to essentially distance. And it's about distancing yourself. Philadelphia's made a point of saying, hey, we would like Harden to be back and be with Embiid and pair them off and continue the trek that we want to be in to compete for an Eastern Conference championship and an NBA Finals championship. And then they've also said, well, hey, if he's not wanting this, then we're going to go ahead and make a move that benefits us at a championship opportunity. And all James Harden is trying to do is create leverage. But the problem is there's not a lot of leverage in your camp for this to happen. You don't dictate what they do. And that's what he's trying to. That's the era of NBA basketball with players. They're trying to dictate. We talked about that with Dame Lillard saying he wants to go to Miami and only Miami, trying to create the leverage. That's what James Harden did, because Harden's already came out and said, I want to go to the Clippers. I want to go to LA to play for the Clippers. And I'm not going to be really happy about anywhere else. He's trying to create the leverage to make sure that he can go where he wants. The problem is he doesn't have a lot of leverage in this situation. They can hold him because he's already opted in. He opted into his counter, so he can hold. They can hold him and say, "Hey, we tried. It didn't work. We'll see you in camp." Or, "Hey, we do have an offer, but it's not the Clippers. We tried. We'll do what we can." But all he's trying to do is create a buzz, create a conversation about him to create leverage to go where he wants to go, and that's not usually how it works.
Gotcha. Chris, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, Jonathan's right. That's the era we live in, right? Athletes get unhappy. What do? They take it to social media and they do something. Usually in the world of football, we see this when they're unhappy about their contract, and this is kind of like the proof that they're unhappy, right? So Kyler Murray had a contract issue. What did Kyler do? He scrubbed his social media accounts of anything related to him being the Arizona quarterback. Like that magically changes something. It doesn't, but that's the world that we live in. Now, James Harden is a little different because he is basically saying things are going to get uncomfortable and then scrubbing his account of any association to the 76ers. He's basically putting out there, listen, I don't want to be here. Things aren't really moving at the pace I want them to move at. So now I'm going to start to make some noise to get my way. But here's the thing. Morey's already said he's not moving him unless it benefits the team. Morey's already said that he basically wants to trade Harden for someone of equal value to have a superstar number 2 option on that team. Morey has shown in the past that he can wait. He has no issue just waiting for the right move to come along. That's what he did last season. He waited until the trade deadline came for the right move to come along, and then he made the trade. So, yeah, things might get uncomfortable, but I think they're going to get uncomfortable for Harden because I don't think Morey's going to pull the trigger early. I think he has no issue. I mean, Harden's already here. Harden opted in. He chose to be here. The team has done a full court press saying we want him. Morey has said it. Embiid has said it. Maxey has said it. Like all the key players have gone on radio and done interviews saying we want James back. So right now, as of today, I feel the team stance is we want James to be here. Harden has said he doesn't want to be there, but I don't see this coming to an end anytime soon unless some team offers some sort of unpredictable trade that we don't foresee happening. But I think it's going to get uncomfortable for Harden because I don't see him being moved anytime soon.
Go ahead, Mo.
He has a resume. James Harden has a resume. Everybody's seen it. You've seen his resume. If you apply for a job and you got a resume, every GM, every owner has seen James Harden's resume. So I don't know why he feels hurt or he's disappointed in the Sixers. Daryl Morey loves James Harden. Coach, you know this. I mean, he loves James Harden. So let's start out with the obvious. He doesn't want to trade James Harden. He loves him. But he doesn't love him enough to give him a max. Because that kind of love would get Daryl Morey fired. That's too much love. You can't love him that much. Because you'll be unemployed if you love him that much. So the reality is, when he says, I want somebody as good or of equal value, well, he knows that's not coming back. There's no one single player who's probably 29 or 30 or older that you're going to get back. Because if I'm the other GM, I'm saying, why am I trading my guy for your guy that's 5 years older? Why would I do that? James Harden's going to be 34 when the season starts. And really, if you look at his body and how it's breaking down, he's probably more like 36 or 37. So to me, just from a basketball standpoint, role players and functioning wings as defenders and shooters, they don't need star power. If you can get role players to fill out your roster and support Maxey and Embiid, you can still be a contender. But your only option is really that. You're definitely not getting another star. You're not going to max him out. You're probably going to give him a mini max if he stays. But if he stays, like Chris said, you're going to have a guy that's unhappy. And how will that trickle down into your locker room when the guys know that this guy's here, but he's not invested in us? He's not fully invested. He doesn't want to be here. To me, Daryl Morey is obligated to make the smart move. If that Clipper deal is a real deal, he needs to get that done like this day and move on from James Harden. They can still be in love. They can write each other letters. They can text. You know what I mean? They can go Instagram, hit each other up, follow each other. They can still have love, but they don't need to do business together anymore. He needs to move on from him.
And that's one thing we talk about with Lillard, who always said he wants to go to Miami. And, we've had a conversation about this a few weeks ago where if he goes anywhere else, how unhappy is he going to be and what's that going to do to him? We actually have precedent of that, of Harden, where he wasn't happy. Like he just showed he wasn't happy about, about any situation, and the whole Brooklyn thing, and he just showed up to camp completely out of shape. We've seen what this looks like with James Harden. Dame Lillard, we can speculate, but we have seen what James Harden looks like when he doesn't care, or when he's not happy, and how it looks and how it acts for him to do. So I mean, that's the other side of this for anybody, whether it's the Sixers, the Clippers, or any other team that's interested in making a trade. That's where I said the leverage conversation has to be tried. But you're shooting himself in the foot, because every team's like, well, if you're not happy, we could put the tape on in Brooklyn when you showed up to camp 30, 40 pounds overweight. And it took you half a season, to get yourself back in shape, just to get you close to where you're supposed to be, your skill level and everything. So that's something I'm sure is in the back of mind of a lot of GMs and a lot of executives at the moment in the NBA.
That probably impacted him too. Like when they went into the playoffs, he started having those problems with the hamstrings and stuff like that. I guarantee you that was related to conditioning. I guarantee you.
100%.
And what Harden doesn't realize is that this playbook works once. Like usually a star athlete can throw a temper tantrum once and kind of get their way. He's trying to do it like 3, 4, 5 times every time he's unhappy somewhere. And there comes a point where the league looks at it and they're like, no. Because why? We have to deal with the fallout of whatever you're doing to yourself when you get here. Who knows where you're going to be mentally, physically, how you're going to be able to help us once you actually get here, because who knows how far you're going to take it to get out of there. And then once you're here, who knows how long you're going to be happy before you start doing the same stuff to us. So he's really playing this like weird, dangerous game where he thinks that he controls the narrative. But like I said, Morey is a patient man, and he has shown his patience in the past when it comes to trading people and making deals and getting the deal he wants and moving people who no longer want to be there. And he does a pretty decent job of shutting out the noise and just kind of staying the course and doing what he thinks is best. So I don't see him pulling the trigger early on the Harden thing.
No, he never wanted to be in Brooklyn anyway. He actually never wanted to. The first thing he said when he got traded, he said, I always wanted to be in Philadelphia. And like I said, I much as my rock has been down and I sense something coming up is going to be real good in a couple more years. Raphael Stone did a hell of a job not sending him to where he want to go and send him to his second option, which is Brooklyn, and everything unrattled for Brooklyn. And when he saw Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving not playing, he started to unravel. He realized he couldn't do it by himself no more. So he started giving up on plays, not diving on the floor. But he never wanted to be in Brooklyn. He always wanted to be in Philadelphia. And when Harden don't get his way, you really see that same. You really see just what he's doing right now. He's trying to press and get up out of it. But if I'm the Sixers, I'm jumping right up on that Clippers deal. Again, you get Norman Powell. You get Norman Powell right back. If I'm assuming PJ Tucker wants out, PJ Tucker, they trying to trade him as well. Tobias Harris, unhappy. But the question I want to get to y'all, like, what do they like? Harden, it's not I like Harden is the only one out. Tobias Harris, what you gonna do with him? PJ Tucker is mentioned in trade offers. What do you guys do with those other two guys? It's just more than Harden. In this situation, it's Harris, and you dealing with Tucker's situation. What you guys think they should do with those guys?
I mean, they're right now stuck between a rock and a hard place because, again, as we said, Morey's mindset is we're gonna continue this championship window. But as I said with you guys a week or two ago, is what championship window? They haven't been able to compete for a championship, so there's a little bit of delusion right now that I think the players are starting to actually, outside of Embiid, and I'm sure Embiid feels quietly because he's already got his contract, and he's quietly saying, I locked myself into a team that, we're a second round and out. We're not really competing for championships. So I feel so the players are kind of realizing there's not a championship window here. The mindset of where this team's supposed to be and the potential, we're not even close to sniffing our potential. So I feel like there's a little bit of delusion by the executives, by Morey, saying this championship window is here in Philadelphia, but a lot of the city, so they're kind of stuck, like, players wanting out, But Morey's sitting here saying, I'm wanting superstars to come in. But who's going to Philadelphia right now? There's not a lot. So there's going to be some decisions, and it's going to force Morey's hand more and more as we get closer to this to training camp for the NBA, that there's probably going to be some decisions being made where they're going to have no choice. Because I think a lot of players on that team, the handful that you just named, they're going to sit back and go, I don't want to be here. And players have power in the NBA.
And that's why I think this whole Morey thing is fascinating, because you are dealing with delusion. He thinks that the way they are currently comprised with James Harden, they're a championship contender. And that's why he refuses to force a deal for Harden unless he gets back the pieces or a superstar that he thinks would keep them on the same trajectory. So if you're dealing with a GM who already thinks that you have a championship contender when you haven't even come close to the Western, I mean, they were close, but when you haven't made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, then you're dealing with a man who isn't just going to start pulling triggers and trading people left and right because they're unhappy or because they voice they're unhappy. He literally thinks that this team is built right now with Harden on it to win a title. And he might be the only person in that franchise that thinks that. So you're asking, is he going to pull the trigger early on Harden? Who's going to blink first? Is he going to trade these other guys? Yeah, he'll do all those things if in his mind he thinks they're still in a position to win a title. And that's what you're playing against right now. So who knows? Who knows how long this kind of drags out, because he's not going to get into a move where he thinks the team is worse as a result.
Coach, I don't know what they do going forward, because it sounds like you've got multiple veterans talking about exodus, talking about bouncing. And what kind of message does that send to your fan base if you've got a guy who just won MVP, but you've got all these veteran players talking about, I want out?
Yep.
Your MVP is supposed to be the guy that other guys look at and go, I want to play with him. I want to be around this guy. This guy can take me to places I've never been, lead me to successes I've never achieved. And I don't get that feeling around Embiid. Everybody acknowledges the talent, what he is as an individual talent, but you don't get that feeling that these guys are galvanized or invested in this franchise player. I actually think that even though Daryl Morey knows Embiid is the franchise player, I think he's more concerned about James Harden. I really do. And Chris hit on an interesting point. It is fascinating because Daryl Morey is trying to hold all this together, because he knows if it falls apart, he'll be fired as well. If this all falls apart, him and Elton Brand, they're going to both get shown the door.
And I'm not putting – I won't say that – and that's a great point about, Embiid being a player that players want. I think players do want to play with Embiid. I just don't think they want to deal with the front office of the Sixers. I don't think they want to deal with the stresses that come with this organization. This organization has been selling the process, last place, lottery, top 5 draft pick for over a decade until they finally started competing. But again, the goal was compete for championships. They've just been competing. So I'm not faulting Embiid saying as a superstar. He's a superstar that I'm sure a lot of players would love to be able to have the opportunity to play with on another team, another organization. I think it's just the headache that the Sixers are, and though they've been for almost 20 years now, is the cause and reason why things are just so dysfunctional, because this organization has been dysfunctional for a very long time.
And you know what, though? Embiid, isn't he part of this, though? Since he's been in the league, who's been selling trust the process more than Embiid has?
Because they sold it to him.
You know what I mean? Like he's basically the face of trust the process. And I'm not denying how talented he is, but when they fail, when any other superstar fails, what do? We say, you failed. You came up short. You're the guy, right? So you get all the accolades when everything goes well. You got to take your share of the heat when things go bad. I think Joel Embiid has gotten a pass more times than not.
Because more times than not, teams build the program for the player. They sold the program for Embiid to buy into them, buy into the process, more times than not, it's all about, hey, we're gonna do everything we can to make the superstar happy. We're gonna do everything we can to build around him. We're gonna do everything we can to show him we're confident that we're gonna win. They sold him, says you need to buy in with us and buy into our process, and you will benefit from this. Well, being a player who, hey, I'm for the team, sure, I'll buy into this. And I mean, he was very outspoken for a long time during the process and saying how miserable this is. But he goes, but they're telling me there's a plan. I'm going to go and follow the plan. And here's the plan where they're winning now. But again, at the end of the day, they're not winning enough or winning the big games that matter most, getting to the finals and winning the finals, not getting there. So I'm sure now at this point, in his mind, goes, yeah, I wasted a lot of my career to buy into your process, to lose in the second round every time or lose in the first round and not get close to an NBA championship. What is that benefiting me? So I don't fault him for buying into the team and the organization and doing what players are really supposed to do. I fault the organization for selling a bill of goods for fool's gold here and basically saying and wasting a potential generational talent in Joel Embiid in his career and not getting him anywhere near with the potential he's supposed to be in competing and winning for NBA finals and NBA championships.
To be fair, that generational talent, he's one game away from going to a conference final. He only had to have one great game. Like that's your job as a generational talent. You only have to beat the Celtics one more time, and they swung and missed twice. And if you told me going into that series that James Harden was going to win 2 games, I would have said Philly was going to beat Boston. James Harden did his part. He was terrible in games 6 and 7, but the fact that he won 2 games by himself, if you're the generational talent, you have to at least match that. And Embiid came up short 6 and 7. So he's a generational talent. I don't think he's a generational star. I think ultimately we judge great stars on what they do in the postseason. He's terrific in the regular season. He's pretty good in the first round. But there's a reason why he's never played in the conference finals. I just don't think he's that guy. I really don't.
And that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. As you said, he's a generational talent, not a generational star. That's fair. But as you said, James Harden, and please remind me, James Harden, he didn't do very much in Game 7 either, though, right? James Harden fell short. So why is James Harden falling short as well, all on Embiid in that point of it? Because
remember, Harden is the sidekick. All I'm saying is,
correct.
If we're going sidekick the star, if Pippen won 2 games, you probably rest assured Jordan's going to win the other 2. He's going to do his part. All I'm saying is, as bad as Harden played in 6 and 7, remember, Game 1 they won, Embiid wasn't on the floor. And then what game was that, Coach? Was it Game 4?
Game 4 when Harden.
Game 4, Harden won that one. All I'm saying is generational talent. Meet me halfway.
A fair point on that one. Fair point. I said, I don't have an argument against you on that side of it as far as in what the postseason is, because again, as you said, generational stars show up in the postseason. But we're talking about in the whole career right now. I'm looking in the whole career. They haven't done enough to help him. They bought him. They've made him buy into the process. And now, yes, they're benefiting by being a winning team, competing right now for top place in the East. They're competing in the postseason, but the goal is not to compete in the postseason, especially in the NBA, where you're judged by rings, you're judged by championships. He's doing what he can to get to the point of being the postseason. Now, has he fallen short? Fair point, absolutely, fair point on that part. But what else has anybody else been doing? What has the buy-in been able to achieve throughout his career? And that's where I look at it and say the organization has failed Joel Embiid as a whole. You're bringing in players who aren't the players necessary or have the pedigree. Let me put it that way. They don't have the pedigree to get to the championship along with Embiid. I think that's what Embiid needs. Embiid needs somebody with the pedigree to help him get to the championships, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, to get to the NBA Finals. He needs a championship pedigree player. James Harden is not that. I feel like that's a fair point.
He needs him a Dwayne Wade too, right? That's what you're saying? He
needs Absolutely.
Him a Wade.
He did have Jimmy Butler. He did have Jimmy
They
Butler.
didn't want to. They didn't want to pay his D Wade.
Jimmy Butler, and he wanted Jimmy to stay, and Jimmy wanted to stay too. The franchise didn't pay him or didn't want to pay him to stay. That right there. Think about Jimmy. If Jimmy Butler was still in Philadelphia, which Embiid wanted Jimmy to stay, if Jimmy's in Philadelphia still, I think we have a different conversation at today's point of the Sixers, because Jimmy Butler is that guy. James Harden isn't, to help lift a team to an NBA Finals.
Yep. So we go to some baseball. We got the trade deadline coming up soon. We got the Mets shopping Verlander and Max Scherzer. We also got Ohtani. The Angels won't trade Ohtani to the Dodgers. What would be a good fit and a good offer for Shohei Ohtani? Chris, Jonathan, I'm gonna start this out with you. Max Scherzer and Verlander, they're trying to shop him right now, and Ohtani. Give me some on those guys, man.
For Verlander and Scherzer, again, it's right now. There's so much conversation about what the Mets are going to do. What are they going to sell? And are they going to sell? Or are they going to hold? Because again, that's what Steve Cohen doesn't want to sell. Steve Cohen is a billionaire businessman, one of the richest owners, if not the richest owner in Major League Baseball. He's made a point of emphasis saying, "I'm spending money. I'm going to buy the championship because that's what the Mets need." But at the same time, where you're at right now, you're over 18 games back behind the Braves. You're almost basically out of the wild card conversation right now. You have to be able to sell. That's the MO of Major League Baseball trade deadline. If you are not in it, you need to go ahead and sell. The problem is for those two is they're being paid $40 million each, which is what you want, which is what Verlander wanted when you signed him to the deal. You had to match what Max Scherzer was making, $40 million. They're both 40-year-old pitchers on top of it. Now, what you can get with them, I think Verlander has a bigger market, but has a more open market than what Scherzer does. Verlander, so far, his numbers are a little bit better than Scherzer's. When you have a 3.25 ERA in Verlander to the 4.20 ERA that Scherzer has. A fielding independent pitching percentage is 3.98. For those FIP, fielding independent pitching, is essentially the ERA of the pitcher outside of his control. So only what the pitcher can control is what the FIP percentage goes to. Verlander has a 3.98. To Max Scherzer has a 4.78. And then the whip, walks, and hits per innings pitched, the Verlander has 1.157 to Scherzer's 1.192. So Verlander's numbers are better than Scherzer. Scherzer has had a lot of issues with his shoulder lately. I know Verlander is just a few years away from Tommy John, but we've seen Verlander stay healthier a little bit more and a little bit more effective in the recent years than Scherzer. I don't know what Scherzer's market's going to be right now. I think it's very, very stagnant compared to what you can get with Verlander. Are you going to get top prospects? And that's what the Mets need to get out of any one of those two. Are they going to get top prospects? I doubt it. Can they get 2 or 3 mid-level, top 15? You can get probably 2 top 15 players in prospects, maybe with a top 20, top 25. I believe so. And at that point, to get rid of a $40 million contract with a 40-year-old pitcher, I would be very open to have that conversation and make that move. The problem is Steve Cohen so set in his ways to say, I paid them to be in New York. This is a championship team, which 18 and a half games back behind the Braves, you're not a championship team. He's so bought in that he thinks these two guys at 40 years old are going to lead this team, if not this year, next year, because they are both signed through 2024 as well, that they can make a move to where they can still be a contender. I would make that move to trade at least Verlander, because that is your best option as far as pitching wise to make that move. I just don't know if they're going to want to, because they're going to ask, and I've already seen they're wanting a top 10, top 8 prospect. You're not getting one for a 40-year-old pitcher. Who both pitchers, I'll say this about them, and they're Hall of Fame pitchers. They both fall apart in September and October when the postseason starts. They both have lately in the last 2-3 years. They don't sustain their skills level on the mound in the postseason because as that season goes on to them. So I'd be very wary of it if I'm trading a top player. If I'm trading a top 15 player in my prospect list, I make the deal and say, hey, you're paying a good portion of their salary. Like I pay 65, 70% of what they left. I'll take the rest of the 25 to 30%. We'll make a deal on that way, but that'd be the only way. A couple of top 15 prospects, and the Mets are paying majority of the rest of the season's salary, and we would have a deal. But I don't see the Mets wanting to do that.
This is where you look at baseball smarts and business smarts. So as a businessman, when you invest $80 million in something, and before the season's over, you're going to go sell part of that off, you failed. As a businessman, you take that as a failure. You can't look at baseball from that perspective. You need to look at baseball as, what can I do for my team right now? That's the best thing for the team. And I think that's what's holding him back a little bit, is in the back of his mind, he's saying, I can't sell both them off. That means I failed. That means I shouldn't have paid them $40 million. That means I didn't get the return on my investment. Yeah, we know. You're 18 games out of first place. You did fail. You did not get the return on your investment. And now you have to look at it and be like, do I want to pay these guys $80 million next season? Because what's that going to do next season when I don't have money to bring other players in that are actually going to contribute to winning? Because right now, you're not winning with them. So why, when they are both a year older, do you think that something's going to magically change? And I think that's kind of what's holding him back. And as far as what Jonathan said, he's 100% correct. If you can move $40 million off your books and get something decent back for it, do it. Because why? What is the benefit of bringing both these guys back next season? You're just hoping? I mean, I think Verlander right now, he has the lowest strikeout average. I think he's at 7.6 or something like that per 9 innings. That's his lowest since 2015. Do you think that's going to bounce back next season and jump to like 11.2 or something? Because my guess is it's probably not. Now, do I think both could potentially pitch better? I don't think Scherzer's pitched that bad, to be honest with you. But do I think they both could pitch better next season? Sure. But again, look at what Jonathan said, their last 3 or 4 seasons. As they get down to playoff time, they break down. They don't pitch the same. They don't have the same stuff they have in September and October that they had in May. Why? Because they're old. That's what happens when when you get to a certain age. You can't do it as long and as great as you could. So if you can find a team out there that's like, dude, we are an ace away. Now, if you're a team out there, again, I struggle a little bit because you got to have them for half a season. So you're still going to kind of run into that problem of, yeah, if we can get, a top tier Verlander for the playoffs, if you make the trade now, I don't know if you're getting a top tier Verlander for the playoffs. I mean, are you going to shelve him? Are you going to start him like every third start and try to save the juice? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough when you spend $80 million on 40-year-old pitchers and you're really just hoping for a miracle and the miracle doesn't come. And now here's where we are. And before Mo jump into Ohtani real quick. And I think I'm going to be in the minority here. I can't trade, even if the Dodgers were the only offer on the table. Unless it blew me out, I can't trade Ohtani to the Dodgers if I'm the Angel. I can't. Who? That's like saying the Lakers are going to make a trade to the Celtics. Will the Lakers ever? Let's say the Lakers had a generational talent who was like, I'm out. I don't want to be a Laker anymore. I want to be on the East Coast. I'm an East Coast baby. And you knew he was probably going to sign with the Celtics anyway. And now the Celtics are like, hey, he can walk and sign with us, or we can give you a little something and he can sign. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I cannot trade this player to Big Brother I can't do it. I absolutely can't. So if that was the only offer on the table and my options were trade him to LA for something or let him walk for nothing, I'm going to pray I can re-sign him. I'm going to take that 1% sliver of hope I have because I'm not trading him to LA. I can't do it, guys.
Hey, again, before we go, how many games, Jonathan, again, how many games the Mets are out of first place again?
They're 18 and a half behind the Braves in the NL East. They are, I'm looking at the wild card right now. They're 7.5 back in the wild card. That's not good. I'm going to say right now.
I just wanted to laugh at that part right there. I just wanted to go ahead, but I just wanted to laugh at it.
So Steve Cohen's solution to everything is to spend his way out of every problem. That's been his MO. And he invested in names rather than the future. He wanted to take the shortcut route to success, and that hasn't come to fruition. I don't expect him to change who he is. I agree with both of you guys. I would get off that $40 million in a heartbeat. That's not really what he's known for. He's pretty stubborn, pretty hard-headed. It would not surprise me if both these pitchers are still on that roster. I can only speak for myself. If I had the opportunity, I'd move them both. If I had the opportunity, I would move them both. But Steve Cohen being Steve Cohen, the man that spends money on anything and everything, his solution is he's going to keep spending more money. He's going to throw more money after bad money because he believes he's right. I don't think they're going to be moved. I think they'll be on the roster next year. It's a mistake, but that's still just Steve Cohen being the guy that he's been since he's been an owner.
Well, so the problem with that, though, is if you do trade, like, again, no team is going to take on the full contract, the rest of the contract this year and next year. They're going to prorate the contract. They're going to say you're going to take a percentage of the prorated amount. So we have 60 plus games right now. You're looking at 18, almost $20 million still on the deal. I would say, let's just say for $18 million still left for this year at least. You're looking at a team, if the Dodgers particularly, because that's who the conversation has been mostly about Scherzer or Verlander. You're saying, look, $18 million is still left on that deal for this season for 2023. We'll pay $5 million, and you're going to pay the $13 million that's left over. So and then by the way, you're going to pay that same percentage of the contract, the $40 million next year. So you're still on the hook. If you're Steve Cohen, if you trade either one of them, you're still going to be on the hook of that contract, just paying him to go play for somebody else. That's where the business side for Steve Cohen looks at it and says, well, that doesn't make any sense then. That doesn't make any sense to me. Which to baseball people and to baseball business people, that would make sense because you're opening a spot, which at this point, 18 and a half games back, and I'm with Jay. That sounds amazing being a Braves fan. But if you're 18 and a half games back, go look and see what you have in the farm right now. Go look and see what your next generational talent is that you may have down low. Because yes, you're going to spend money. You're going to bring players in free agency in 2023, going into the 2024 season. But why not see what you have on the farm and be able to bring in a AA or AAA pitcher that you may be able to utilize later on in some capacity, either on your team in the season of 2024 or a trade opportunity this offseason or into the next season. So that's how this is supposed to be worked. But the problem is again, if they're wanting to just say we're going to do a salary dump and we're going to get off this contract, that's not going to happen. They're going to have to end up paying a good portion of the prorated for 2023 and for the portion of 2024 as well. No team is going to just take on that $40 million. No team ever. They were the only team, the Mets were, to offer Verlander a contract even remotely close to the stratosphere of $40 million. So they were not going. So nobody's just going to say, Steve, yeah, look, hey, welcome to the MLB's ownership club. Yes, we'll take Verlander or we'll take Scherzer. We'll help you with that $40 million. No, you screwed yourself. You made the bed. You may lie in it now and see what happens moving forward.
And listen,
I'm interested in what they do with the farm system.
Steve's already in a tough spot because he's got to write those checks still to Cano. Steve's writing checks from previous contracts. Players aren't even on his team anymore. He's writing checks like, this guy don't play for me. I owe him $8 million this year. He's not going to send people out and still pay for them.
Well, the greatest contract still is the Mets. That's the Bobby Bonilla July 1st. It's still the greatest contract there is.
I think we're going to hold on to those guys, Coach, because their farm system, I think they rank like middle of the pack, like 16th or 18th in the league. They're not great there either.
Yep. So we got a trade deadline will be coming up soon. You're hearing all of a sudden Wilson Contreras is a name that's been thrown out there for St. Louis. So go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Jonathan.
The Contreras one, I'll be in a way shocked, but I'm not, because I feel like Contreras never fit in St. Louis. But why I say I'm gonna be shocked because I know a coaching change is going to happen. There's going to be a complete overhaul in the coaching staff and the front office in St. Louis at the end of the season. And when that that's why I don't see a big sell-off in St. Louis so much, because I don't think the owner's going to allow it, knowing a lot of people are going to lose their job when the 2023 season ends. The manager's going to lose his job. General manager's probably going to lose his job. There's going to be a lot of people kind of getting an overhaul and bringing in some new faces. That's going to kind of refreshen the environment in St. Louis. They've completely gone away as far as baseball fans know. St. Louis is one of the most stable organizations in Major League Baseball, and this season has been a complete disaster in St. Louis. So I feel like there's not going to be a complete sell-off. Will they sell a couple of the pitchers? I believe yes, they'll sell the pitchers. At least two. Jack Flaherty, as far as one of the starting pitchers, possibly Jordan Hicks, Montgomery are probably going to be looked to be moved, but I don't see them making the big sell-off of Arenado. Goldschmidt has been completely off the table, and I don't see Contreras being traded just because because we know the person they're very interested in bringing on board to be the manager next year, Yadier Molina. And Yadier Molina, who Contreras looks up to, I think will be a full benefit to having Molina being the manager of the Cardinals in 2024. So if that happens, they're going to want to keep Contreras around. Contreras is still a very good catcher. For some reason, he's getting all the blame for this season with the pitching staff, but that should not have been the case. But I think they're going to want to refresh and bring in the new staff and let them work with these guys, work with Contreras. And again, if it's Yadier Molina coming on board, that's going to absolutely rejuvenate Wilson Contreras for 2024 and for the rest of his career while he's in St. Louis.
And if you're the Cardinals, there's no negative of saying we're open for business, because you just make the blanket statement and then you let people come to you. And, maybe there's a guy you weren't really thinking about moving, but if someone just walks in with an offer that blows you away, maybe you do it now. But like Jonathan said, I think everyone kind of knows the names out of St. Louis that are available. And I think those are the ones they're really going to get to play for. But teams might check in. Teams might check in on Nolan Gorman. They might check in on Arenado. But again, they don't have to move those guys. Those guys aren't really making noise to be moved. And then you just kind of see what people bring you. Because again, in sports, you are worth what somebody will offer you. And if someone walks in with an offer that St. Louis can't refuse, that they're not going to get killed for, that makes them better, then why not? But you're not going to destroy the team to the point where whoever comes in next is going to, have to suck for a year or two because you gutted everything. I don't think they're going to do that because, unlike, the Mets, they are a smartly run baseball operation. So although this season was a disaster, it doesn't mean that one disaster 1 year is going to turn into 3 or 4 years of a disaster. They're going to get things back on track.
Yeah. Just one question, and if everybody else want to answer on the panel, got one question. Your Yankees, they're buying or selling at the deadline. What, in your mind, what do you think?
I mean, if you look at the Yankees, right? I mean, the Yankees season has been a disaster, right? Let's be honest. The season has been a complete disaster from a Yankee stance and just from a baseball stance. But where do we stand today? They are tied for last place in their division. Not the place to be, but they're 2 games out of the wild card. So here's what you have to do. You have to look at it and ask yourself one of 2 questions. Is making a wild card and getting to the playoffs enough? Because they're not a championship team. And if they sneak into the wild card, they might get past that first round, but they're not winning a World Series the way this team is constructed. Unless something crazy happens and they catch lightning in a bottle and people who have not hit all season just start hitting, and pitchers who have not pitched well all season just start dominating. Like let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like that's the way it would have to happen, right? Like Rodon would have to turn into an ace in the playoffs, and Cole would have to pitch lights out. I mean, are they capable of it? Yes. Have they done it this season? No. In my mind, because Yankee fans are really hyperbolic, they're not going to start selling pieces off. They're not going to do it. Cashman knows that he's probably on the verge of getting fired. Boone knows he's probably on the verge of getting fired. There's no way they're going to tear it down. Now, would it be looking at some of their contracts? Would that be a viable option a little bit? Absolutely. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to make small moves that, wet everyone's whistle a little bit. I don't think they're going to land Ohtani. I don't think they're going to do anything that's going to move the needle. I think they're going to do enough to stay afloat and stay in the wild card conversation, and then hope that more comes out of it. But Jonathan, you got a smirk over there, so I'm curious what you're thinking.
So Chris, you're a Yankee fan, yes?
I am, unfortunately.
Are you from the New York area?
I am.
From the Bronx. So let me ask then, when has Yankee fans in the Bronx been happy about a wild card?
Oh, never.
Okay. So why all of a sudden we're going to say we're going to shoot for the wild card? And again, it's about getting into the dance. That's what always the goal is, to get into the dance. But as you just said about Yankee fans, they only want one thing: you're in first place or you're in last place. That's how they view it. And if you're a wild card team, they're not going to be very happy about that. But they make it to the wild card, the last wild card spot. More likely they're going to play the Twins. Yes, they'll beat the Twins. I mean, that's just going to be how it is. It could be any the AL Central champion. They'll win that. But then when you have to go and face, Baltimore, Rangers, Tampa, Houston, and one of those teams in that next round, yeah, you're in trouble. You're not going to win that game, especially in the wild card round. You're going to have to use Garrett Cole, who is your best pitcher in that aspect to at least get to the next round. That means Cole gets at least one less start in the divisional round versus you having to go against, let's just say, Baltimore's pitching staff, which Baltimore is a really good pitching staff they have there, and they hit very well. So that means they don't have to face your best pitcher. You're looking at a 5-game series. At worst, 5-game series. I don't see a sweep if that's the case for Baltimore, but it's a 5-game, and from there, I think that's very problem. Or I'm sorry, 4 or 5 games for it. I don't think this would be a sweep, but you're going to see it from that aspect of that you're in trouble if you're the Yankees. So will they buy? Yes, because Yankee fans they will riot and destroy the stadium if they sell. Out of the wild card spot. They will absolutely riot and sell and just completely destroy the stadium in that aspect of. But they're going to end up being buyers because that's just what they have to be to make everybody happy. The problem is what do you have to make those moves? Well, you don't have a lot in your farm system. You've brought in players this year. You went to the youth movement with Anthony Volpe. You went to the youth movement, and they've underwhelmed and underperformed. You have a lot of your young guys who brought in have not done what you were hoping they could do. So you have to rely on the older guys, which Josh Donaldson more likely is out for the season. DJ LeMahieu is having one of the worst seasons of his career. Aaron Judge is on the IL with a toe. He hasn't played since early June. Rizzo's been off and on injured. And so the older guys are having to carry this team, which and I've said this for this season alone, if you look at the top teams, it's about the young teams this year because of the rule changes of how quicker the game has gone. The slower pace has always helped with the older teams. This year is not the case anymore. Baltimore, young team. Rangers, young team. Tampa, young team. You have Braves, young team. The Reds, who have been competing up there, a young team in the National League. You have a young game that's going on right now. The Yankees are absolutely in the opposite side of the spectrum with that roster. You don't have enough to really make a difference-making move to help you be a contender this season. Should they sell? I think they should. Will they? No. That's not the Yankee way.
And after they don't sell, and they're still just a wild card team, Cashman's gonna spin it that we're competing for championships because that's what the man does.
Yes.
He spoke a month ago talking about don't quit on us yet. We're still Brian. Come on now.
Which Cashman, as you said about Boone and Cashman will be reassigned. He won't be fired. They won't completely fire him. He'll be reassigned team president, no longer general manager. Boone will be gone. Aaron Boone will be gone. And I've already seen some reports that Don Mattingly is potentially a replacement in the future if that's the case. But Boone's going to be playing him. Boone's out of there after New York. I was shocked that he was given another chance for 2023. There's no excuses anymore for Aaron Boone after this season.
Got you. So we move on to the next one. We got NFL. We got all signs are pointing to Josh Jacobs skipping camp and skipping the preseason. How does it affect the Las Vegas Raiders? Mo, I'm gonna start with you.
It makes a team that's going to be bad worse. He's their best player. The offense starts with Josh Jacobs. Jimmy Garoppolo can't be the play action, high percentage passer that he is without that run game to protect him. You've got Devontae Adams on the outside. So everything you're going to do in terms of route running is going to be intermediate routes because Jimmy G doesn't push the ball down the field, but he is effective in intermediate routes. But you have to have that anchor. You have to have that guy that the offense has run through. He's a 1,500-yard back. It's going to make a team who I think, even if he ran for 1,500, they're not going to be good. But they're going to be far worse without that run game. And you're putting a lot more pressure on your quarterback and on your star wide receiver. Not to mention, guys, solid offensive line in the run game, they're horrible at pass protection. Horrible. That's not giving Jimmy G a lot of confidence that you're not bringing in Josh Jacobs. Get that man signed. If you're actually trying to win games and compete, get that man signed and set Jimmy G up for success. Because if you go the other way, it's going to be ugly for Raider Nation this season.
Chris?
There's nothing like taking a team that has like 2 or 3 rays of sunshine on them and then it's taking one away. That's what we're doing here. I mean, the offensive side of the ball for the Raiders, there's not a lot there. You have a quarterback who is a game manager. I like Jimmy Garoppolo, but he's a game manager and he needs elite pieces around him to be successful. He had some pieces around him in Las Vegas, and now you're taking away one of his biggest 2 pieces. Let's be honest, Devontae is going to be double teamed because he is the elite piece. So he's already relying on whoever is option 2 or 3 or the tight end, and now you're losing the guy who can run the ball and catch the ball out of the backfield, so you're losing another playmaker on that offense. So they weren't going to be great as it was. They were already going to be bad, like Mo said. Now they're going to be worse if he doesn't play. Now, again, maybe he plays the regular season. He's basically just saying that he's not reporting to camp. He's not playing in the preseason. So who knows? He could turn things around and still play in the regular season. But even if he does, you know, we're not talking about him not playing and now they're going to miss the playoffs because of it. We're talking about him not playing and now they might get the first pick because he's not playing, right? So instead of winning, you know, 4 games, maybe they only win 1 or 2 games. That's kind of the difference. And if I'm a Raider fan, maybe I'm looking at this going, okay, you know, we're already going to suck. I'd prefer to suck and get, you know, the top quarterback next season as a result of it. So, you know, maybe it's not the end of the world.
Hey, before Jay goes, Coach, look, we've talked ad nauseum about how the running back position has been devalued. Maybe star running backs are saying, you know what? Why should I play in the preseason? Why not save my body? If I'm a star running back and the state of the league is where it is, where their value is, I'm not playing in the preseason. I'm going to give my body and I'm going to give my career the best chance to get the most out of my career. Why wear my body down playing against the guys that are trying to make the roster? I need to be as fresh and as healthy as possible going into the season. So maybe Josh Jacobs is just saying, at a minimum, I'm not playing in the preseason for damn sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm concerned if I'm a Raiders fan. Thankfully, I'm not, but I'm going to be concerned if I was because, as everybody's saying, this is their offense. And you have a new quarterback who you need a rhythm. Even running, we also about quarterback receivers need the rhythm together. Well, so do the quarterback and running back. And you know, I mean, there's a reason why they practice just alone. I'm just going to be very generic here. They practice the handoffs as much as they do during training camp. They practice the screen passes, running 5 yards. Here's a screen pass. Look to see where it is. Get used to the rhythm. Get used to the speed. Get used to the arm angle. You have to get used to every aspect of it. And I don't know how much Josh Jacobs has been working with Garoppolo since he's just now getting cleared to even be on a field with the ankle injury he had. So there's been no work and no continuity with Jacobs and Garoppolo moving at the moment going into training camp, and with Jacobs being gone now and not going to show up at camp, I'm very concerned just how it is for the moving forward of the offense in that aspect of. I mean, and I say this because they've had they either have or they're about to have their own conference call with all the running backs. I agree with Mo here. We're going to see this more, where these star running backs, they're going to say, "Hey, I'll show up when I'm ready to show up. I'm in shape. But I'm not going to keep putting my body. If you're going to hold me accountable for the beatings I take because of the position I play, and it's going to continue even when I'm in camp, how much running I'm doing, and how much, again, I know we don't hit anymore in practices in camp, but I'm still running, and y'all are using that against me. Why do I need to show up then? I'll keep doing my work at home. I'll keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and then by the end of week 2 in preseason, hey, now I'll show up and I'll be ready to go. And I don't blame them, because no matter what, they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. If they do show up, they're going to be overworked. If they don't show up, well, hey, you're going to get fined, and you're going to get criticized for it. So no matter what, there's no win-win for the running backs here. So yeah, save your legs. Show up after week 2. Get your 1 week of work in. You get ready for the season at that point. It makes sense not to make sense, if that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
All right. So last topic for Jonathan right here before we get to the contestant number 2, which is Jay, for the rest of the show. We got Jonathan. Give me the best thing that you saw in sports this past week.
I'm going to go with congratulations, first off, to Brian Harman, who won the U.S. Open, not the U.S. Open, I'm sorry, the Open, the British, which used to be the British Open, the Open Championship this weekend in Royal Liverpool, and was his first major of his career. 37-year-old PGA golfer who's only won tournaments twice leading up into this major, and doing it in very outstanding fashion. Having a minus 13 on his scorecard. He won by 6 strokes. And for the first, and by a U.S. golfer, was the second largest margin of victory. This only behind the great Tiger Woods, but an outstanding performance for again, nobody expected him to be what he was and how he played. He played phenomenal at a very difficult golf course at Royal Liverpool. And he absolutely played masterfully. And by all means, now everybody knows who he is, and he's getting up to where he's going to get a lot of recognition for this. But an outstanding performance out there, and I think it's very recognizable for again a record, for the first major, and doing it as a second largest margin of victory by a U.S. golfer at the Open. Outstanding job! Congratulations to Brian Harman on your first major championship.
All right, Chris.
I'm going to go with the world of competitive swimming, which is a sentence I never thought I would say. But Michael Phelps' last world record fell this weekend. It fell to a 21-year-old Frenchman, Leon Marchand, and he is supposed to be the next phenom in the world of swimming. And I only really pay attention to swimming during Olympic time. I find it fascinating. But the next set of Summer Olympics are going to be held. He's in his hometown in Paris, and he is expected not only to dominate the Olympics, he is expected to top what Michael Phelps did, 2008, I think it was 10 years ago, or no more than that, 15 years ago. So he's expected to have that kind of performance on the world stage in a couple of years when the Olympics roll around to Paris. And that I'm all for that kind of stuff. I like to see people dominate a sport. I find it fascinating. I like to see once in a time talent like that. So I'm excited for it. And he's 21 years old. He's getting a lot of praise for it. He's training over here right now in the U.S. at ASU with the same coach that worked with Phelps. So I'm for it.
Got you. Bo.
Coach, I'm gonna go a different way.
Okay.
I watched something that's sports related. I started rewatching the TV series Friday Night Lights. If you've ever seen Friday Night Lights or you've seen the movie, it's a great show. To me, if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. Coach Eric Taylor, probably the greatest high school football coach ever. I've had some coaches when I was in high school, but not one that was that involved in my life. That guy is the GOAT. So great series. Just started watching it again. I'm in episode 4, but Friday Night Lights, good watch.
Yeah, before Jonathan get up out of here, I'm gonna go in the boxing scenario and the fight that I actually saw this weekend. I gotta give a plug at whoever the fighter, I forgot that fighter name, but he gave George Kambosos Jr. a hell of a fight. You can argue George Kambosos lost that fight. I thought they got fought George Kambosos well, but not only that, after the fight, Shakur Stevenson was right there. Shakur Stevenson is a hot 135. That 135 weight class is really good with Shakur Stevenson. You know, you got Devin Haney may move up to 140, drop the belts just to move up to 140 and draw a potential bout with Regis Prograis and all of that. But Lomachenko, you still got him at 135, who just come off a loss against Devin Haney. Something is heating up very much in that 135-pound division. So look out for Shakur Stevenson, a potential Lomo fight. That's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight right there. Or George Kambosos Jr. And you will have Shakur Stevenson, or you still got Tank Davis out there who's trying to draw a big fight with him knocking out Ryan Garcia and him potentially getting a fight with Devin Haney or, you know, Stevenson or George Kambosos Jr. or Lomachenko. So the 135-pound division is heating up, and we got the big fight week coming up Saturday. You will have the biggest welterweight fight that we will probably ever see, which is Terrence Crawford versus, you know, Errol Spence Jr. Almost everybody can't wait to see that fight on Saturday, and I can't wait to cover it on Saturday. So other than that, man, Jonathan, tell the people they can follow you, man.
Check me out here with you guys on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I've been enjoying doing the shows with you guys in the mornings. You can also check me out on Facebook. My organization, Alpha Performance Softball, Alpha Performance Baseball. A lot of good work that we do with our youth ages from 10-year-olds all the way to 18-year-olds, helping them go to college and play baseball and softball. You can also check me out on Twitter at B_and_alpha. Same thing. Check us out. A lot of the good work that we do with the youth in the area.
Got you. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for coming on this morning, man. Have a good rest of your day.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. And we got the next guy that's coming up, man. Like I say, D-Hop must have heard the man, because D-Hop responded. The organization responded. They got the Oilers colors on. They got to feel good about it. He's a Braves fan. The Braves are up 18 games over the New York Mets. We got my guy, Jay, coming in the building. How you doing, Jay?
Look at Jay. Jay feeling good.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man? You know the best thing I saw this weekend? Them Oiler uniforms, baby. Woo! Yes, the things is fire.
Jay pumped. All right, Jay.
All right, Chelsea. All right, so we get to the next one before we get to the funnest topic, you know, which is so we got the Zoom meeting reaction. Should running backs start refusing to play through injuries? What's the future for the running backs in the NFL? Chris, I'm gonna start off with you.
I'm tired, guys. I'm tired of the running back conversation. So let's play this scenario. Let's say the Giants woke up this morning and they were like, man, we love Saquon Barkley. We love Saquon so much. We want to give him not one bag, not two bags, but 3 bags. We want to give him all the bags. Someone go get the truck and back it up to Saquon's house. Guess what? They can't. The deadline's passed. There's nothing to be done about it right now. When the deadline passes, a player who was offered a franchise tag has 2 options. They either sign the tag and they play on the tag price, or the team cuts the player and now they're a free agent. Well, the Giants aren't going to cut Saquon Barkley, so that's where we are. Now, I'm all for a player of any sport in any league doing what they got to do to get the bag when the bag is still obtainable. The deadline has passed. Nothing can be done about it now. So either play football, which is what's going to help you potentially get the bag next season. Probably not, but it is what it is. At least you're going to get paid this season. And let's move on, because what are we doing here? We're talking about the running backs need their own union. The running backs need better representation. The running backs are getting shafted like no one's been shafted before. What about safeties? Safeties make garbage in the league compared to other positions. What about interior guards? They play right next to the tackle. That's one of the highest paid positions. You think they're not worth something?
Right.
What about back to the basket centers in the NBA? Where is their pity party? Because that position's basically gone away over the last 15. Like, come on now. It is you are worth what you are worth. And on top of that, one of the reasons that the running back position isn't paying what it used to, which, by the way, I think 10 years ago, I saw some number about that. It was either 10 or 15 years ago. The average back in the league was making like 11-1. And I think now they're making 10-1. Yeah, it's gone down, but you're acting like they're making nothing. You're acting like the devalues happen so much. They're making pennies on the dollar. They weren't valued that much 10 years ago if you look at the contracts. Now, I understand the issue is the quarterback price has quadrupled and the wide receiver price has tripled. So I get that. And that's where the rub comes in, right? You're seeing all these other positions go way, way up, and you're actually dipping a little bit. But the reason behind that is look how many capable backs there are in the NFL. It's not a situation where there's only 3 great running backs and the rest of them are average or below average. That's not what it is. You literally have capable backs all over the place in a league where no one's running the ball 30 or 40 times a game. If this was a run-first league, it would be a different situation. It's mostly a pass-first league. The quarterback is the position the focus is on. That's why the quarterback gets paid. What does the quarterback do, gentlemen? He throws the football. Who's he throwing the football to? A wide receiver. That's why they're paid well. Who's protecting the quarterback? Your tackle. That's why they're. You see how it's all connected to that one guy? That one guy who is the quarterback? The running back is, 3 or 4, 5, 6 rungs down the ladder. So I get it. The running backs are upset. They had their Zoom call. What is not playing through injuries going to do? It's going to make you look like you get injured a lot. And injuries are a lot in that position, and you're going to devalue even more. So if you start getting running backs who don't want to play through their sore ankle, who don't want to play through a tight hamstring, who are feeling a little sore from 2 weeks ago, so they're going to sit the week out. Now you're pushing forward the narrative that already exists, that running backs' bodies break down, that they're injury prone, that they only last 3 or 4. You're making it worse for yourself. Truth serum, guys. They need to accept where we're at. This is where we are, and they need to move forward and make the best of it. Am I wrong? Like I don't know what else.
Jay?
So I don't think the meeting is necessarily for Saquon and Josh Jacobs at this moment. I think they've kind of come to a conclusion to like what Chris said, right? They're not going to get the bag right now. They're either going to be on a franchise or they're not going to play. It's for the future, right? For guys like Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, all these guys coming up. This is trying to help these guys set up future safety nets so that they can get paid what they're valued. Now I know we look at running backs and say they only run the ball, but a lot, you look at Austin Eckler. This guy had over 100 receptions last year, and this guy, he can't get more than what he's asking for. Joe Mixon just took a cut, and I understand you got 3-headed wide receiver core over there. These guys do more than just run. They catch these hot blitzes, and I'm not saying that they deserve more than quarterbacks or anything like that, but they do deserve their value. I mean, especially the guys who their team is centered around. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. These teams are built based off of those running backs. They don't have an elite quarterback that can carry a team. They don't have a Joe Burrow. They don't have a Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Saquon Barkley, again, he got the Giants to the playoffs with Daniel Jones as a Robin to his Batman. These guys, I'm not sure what the final offer to Saquon was, but when you're asking them to catch passes out the backfield, still carry the ball 25, 30 times, and you're asking them to be part of your blocking scheme. Like, these guys are wearing multiple hats for 18 games. So, yes, they do need to try to get something. They do need to try to figure out if they can get something in place to kind of help them get more value to their position, because their position wasn't valued before. You know, at 28, 30 years old, we were kind of throwing running backs away. Like, okay, these guys are washed. We don't need them anymore. So their position was always kind of low valued anyway after a certain age period. So, but I do understand, you know, you got the Todd Gurley's, Ezekiel Elliott's, where running backs got paid and they didn't live up to their contracts. So I see both sides, but it's nothing wrong with trying to get your value. I don't blame any player for trying to get their value. I mean, we spoke about Dalvin Cook. You know, this guy put up 4 1,000-yard seasons, and he only has 1 or 2 teams interested in him. And I know the trend is to running back by committee, but that's if you have an elite quarterback. Like that formula only works really if you have an elite quarterback. If you don't have Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow or somebody like that, or even Lamar Jackson, that formula really doesn't work like that. So, it's good to see the solidarity, and I hope that they are able to, get their value and get what they're worth, and go from there. But sitting out, injuries, that's not going to do anything. We just saw Melvin Gordon just got signed with the Ravens. So, if you're going to sit out, there's always going to be somebody ready to work. There's going to be a hungry young person ready to take your spot. So sitting out really doesn't make the situation better. You just get older, and your body gets older, and you just find yourself kind of like pushed to the shelf even more. So it's a lose-lose situation for them until they can figure this out. So we'll see what happens from there.
Mo?
Well, they can't win this. If this is a fight, it's not a fight they can win. The game has evolved, and it's tough. If you go back in time, you would tell young Austin Eckler, try out for quarterback, or maybe compete
Receiver.
for a cornerback position. I'm only speaking to what the league has become. It is a quarterback-driven league, but right behind the quarterback is the value of wide receivers now, the value of a left tackle, a pass rusher, cornerbacks. I understand if I'm a 1,500-yard back, the frustration that even though I'm a 1,500-yard back, and my quarterback might be a game manager, my game managing quarterback is going to get $35 to $40 million a year. And I'm not going to get anything close to that, because even a game managing quarterback has more value than an elite running back. I'm not saying that's fair. I'm just saying that's the state of the league and where we're at in the league. If I'm those guys, maybe get with the PA. Try to negotiate contracts in the future that are more incentive laden. Maybe if you carry the ball X amount of times, you receive an extra $500,000. You rush for 1,500 yards, you might get another $200,000. If you rush for 1,500 yards and have another 600 yards in receiving, you might get an extra $500,000. You can find ways without it actually being your contract, just incentives to get money. But as far as the per year value, that's not going to go up. That's not going to change. You could get a running back in this league right now, and if they ran for 2,000 yards 2 years in a row, they're not getting a raise. That's just the reality of it. I was thinking about you, Jay, earlier, because I thought you're a Tennessee Titan fan. You've got King Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Great running back.
Yeah.
The guy's got almost 1,800 carries on his body right now. He's got over 8,000 career yards. He's 29 years old. And I'll put this out there to everybody. He's 29 with 8,000 yards right now. Does Derrick Henry finish his career with 12,000 rushing yards?
I think so. He's going to be a free agent next year too. So that's going to be, is he going to finish his career in Nashville? That's going to be the question to get those 12,000 yards. So that's to me.
Well, don't be Le'Veon Bell. If you're going to leave a team and you're a running back, maybe be strategic and go, wow, let me go to where they've got a really nice offensive line.
Well, he only went where because that was the only team that wanted him.
No, I know he took the money, but when you take the money, you had to know no quarterback, no O-line. Yeah. What did you think was going to happen to you?
Yeah. It's tough, man, and I'm interested to see what Tennessee is going to do because, like you mentioned, he's 29. He's a free agent. Same with Jonathan Taylor. He's coming off his rookie deal. He's looking for a big contract. So those two guys are going
He's
to
a throwback, Jay. Your guy's a throwback.
Yeah, I know.
He's maybe one of two guys that carries the ball 30, 35. He's a throwback.
Yeah.
I mean, he might be the last.
Rare.
He's one of one right now. The guy that carries the ball 30, 35 times a game. That is the exception to where the NFL is right now.
So next offseason, I'll be in Nashville trying to negotiate the deal for Derrick Henry if I'm not on the show. Just
make sure you don't let the NFL PA off the hook, Jay. Go
we got to get it done.
I feel you on that, Jay. So now we switch our focus to the Vegas odds, and we predict over and unders. We did the NFC East, and we also did the AFC. We also did the AFC West side. So we do it the AFC East side of things. You know, that is Chris' division right there, and Kyle division. We got his Dolphins and Patriots in the same division. So we're gonna start with the Buffalo Bills. We're gonna start Mo. Buffalo Bills 10.5 wins. They under or over this year 10.5 wins.
I think they're gonna go over. Even with their struggles, I think Buffalo's going to win at least 10 or 11 wins. I'll give them 11 wins. It kind of goes against something I believe because I actually think Miami's going to have a really big season, but I'm going to give them 11 wins.
Jay?
Buffalo, man.
I know.
They're not the best team in the division anymore. They haven't really done anything to improve in my book. They haven't taken. I don't know what they need to improve. Right? They lose Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator. There's friction between star receiver, star quarterback. They lose star linebacker Traymon Edmonds, and then you got floating in the background the Madden curse. I know people may not believe it, but I play Madden and I'm still a kind of a believer. I think they break even. I think they do get 10. I think they do get that, but I'm flirting with the 9, maybe 9, maybe 10. But for this show, I'm gonna go 10 right now. But it's gonna be tough, and their schedule is brutal on the back end. So I'm gonna go with even right now. I think they'll get 10 right now.
I know Chris is going under.
Chris is going under.
So Chris is going under.
Listen, like Jay said, I mean, things are not projecting well in Buffalo, and I get it. Bills fans don't want to hear it, but let's just look at the facts, right? You lost your defensive coordinator, you lost your offensive coordinator last season. Look what it did to Josh Allen. It wasn't great. The areas of improvement that Josh Allen had made the previous 2 seasons, you saw regression last season. And those things that Dable had kind of tidied up and put a bow on, and he was climbing and improving with, he took a step back with. Diggs is an issue, guys. When he's making this much noise, when he's already the center focus of that offense, and he's making this much noise about it, that's not going to get better. Winning does cover some things up, but what happens when Buffalo plays in tight games? Josh Allen gets tight. He makes mistakes. When they're rolling and they knock you out and punch you in the mouth in the first quarter, yeah, they're going to win by 3 touchdowns. They've proven that with Josh Allen. When things are tight in the third and fourth quarter, he has that one dumb throw. He throws that, and it's not always a pick. It could be something as simple as he bounces it 3 yards short for the wide open guy that would have been the first down or a touchdown. That's what he's been known for the past couple of seasons. So I really think Buffalo is going to lose a couple of close games early. And then, like Jay said, their schedule becomes a nightmare towards the second half of the season. So I think they're going to lose a couple early that they probably should have won. And that's going to set up what comes in the second half of the season when they have a murderer's row of a schedule. And I still think they're going to be above 500. I still think they're going to win 9 or 10 games. But that's not what Buffalo's expectations are. They expect to win the division. They expect to win 12 or 13 games. They expect to be competing for an AFC championship and going to a Super Bowl. And I think that window closed. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're going to compete for the division, but I see them topping out 9 or 10 games. So I'm going under.
Yeah, and they got a lot of pressure on them. The first game they got Aaron Rodgers, right? So I mean, what better way to set the tone than to go against a division foe and have to deal with that? And they didn't get a running back. I can't remember what they did in the draft, but they lost Singletary. So I mean, I'm with Chris, man. I'm agree with Chris. Everything he said.
All right, so we got Miami, who's at 9.5. Chris, I'm gonna start with you. Miami
over all day. We are over all day on. Go listen. If you have a little money set aside and you want to make a little scratch, go bet the over. If Tua gets hurt, all bets are off. But my man, listen, my man did his jujitsu. My man has his tribal tats. My man put on like 10 or 15 pounds. He's looking a little beefy. All right, that's all going to help. That's all going to help protect him when he hits the ground. All right. They improved the offensive line a little bit, which wasn't a bad offensive line last year. The issue last year was he held the ball too long. And that's why I need Dolphin fans to really kind of wrap their head around, because it's so easy to blame the line. You see your quarterback get blown up. You're like, who missed an assignment? No one missed an assignment. He held the ball for 4.5 seconds, and he should have thrown it away, and he didn't. He was trying to make a play. Can't fault the guy for that. And he took a hit. He's got to take less hits. He knows that. He's acknowledged that. The coaching staff has acknowledged that. He needs to learn how to fall when he does take a hit. Those are all things they're working on. Outside of that, when they were rolling last year, they were the number 1 offense in the league. If you look at Tua's stats when he finished the season, he was top 5 in nearly every single stat that matters in the quarterback position. And he was 1 for a few of those. When everything is rolling, Miami is a hard team to stop on the offensive side of the ball. Now let's look at the defense. They bring in Vic Fangio, who literally is hands down the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. There are so many defenses out there that are trying to model what Fangio has done in the past. They bring in a top tier cornerback. Yeah, I'm sure he lost a little bit. I'll acknowledge that. But it's hard to take kind of a back seat when you're playing for a Rams team that is absolute garbage, and you're playing opposite a secondary that is garbage. So even the best cornerbacks in the league are going to be like, yeah, I don't know about, I want to put my body on the line for this. We ain't going to win anyways. So the defense is improved. The offense is improved. As long as we stay healthy, I don't see why they're not an 11 or 12 win team. And they still might sign Dalvin Cook, maybe. But apparently he wants to be a Jet now. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got some personal issues too.
Go ahead, okay? Go ahead.
Man, Chris, man, was that bias or that's just facts is facts? Because man, you got me ready to watch Miami, man. I agree with you though. For me, it's based on Tua, right? Tua the last 2 years has missed. He's played 13 games, missed 5 games, and that's always come back to haunt you. And if he does go down for even 2 games, you know your backup is Mike White, and he's dealing with broken ribs or recovering from ribs. So, however Tua plays is what y'all to do. And I honestly think that y'all could come second place. I kind of got y'all in that 10, Buffalo 9. I should have said Buffalo goes under, but I think, like you said, you guys were very explosive, had a very high-powered offense when Tua was on the field. The defense was the secondary was a bit of an issue. You guys traded for Bradley Chubb last year. You got Jalen Ramsey back there. You got Vic Fangio. So you got you got better on the defensive side, and I think that's definitely going to help you guys in that division. So I definitely think that you guys are going to be I definitely think you guys should be over 9.5 wins. But my only concern is Tua. You know what I'm saying? I like what I see when he's on the field, but when he's not on the field, man, it's tough. So I got y'all. I think y'all can get over 9.
All right, Mo, over or under 9.5.
I'm going over. I'm going over for the simple reason Chris laid it out. Jay co-signed. As long as Tua's upright, more importantly, that he finishes the season upright, they're going to have a top 3 offense, maybe the top offense. And that's without the addition of Dalvin Cook. It'd be great to have him, but without Dalvin Cook, they were the best offense in football until he went down. So if they find a way to keep him upright, I don't care if they bring in a fullback to passing situations to pick up blitz coverage. I would say this: if you're a Dolphins fan, if Tua's passing percentage drops, that's a good thing because that means he's throwing the ball away. That means he's throwing the ball away. That means he's taking less hits. And I would preach to him, it's okay, man. It's okay sometimes to go 3 and out. We'll get him next time. With that kind of firepower, you will get him next time. So for me, it's really just simple. Getting Nick Fangio is great. Adding Jalen Ramsey is great. But if you didn't do both of those things, if you did one thing, ensure me that Tua is going to be upright, they're going to be over.
Gotcha. Jets, first team, probably in training camp right about now. They already doing the hard knot, so everybody else got at least 2 to 3 days for training camp, but they're the only team in training camp as of right now. But other than that, Mo, they at 9.5. Over or under for the New York Jets, 9.5.
I think that's right about where they should be. I got them winning like 9 games.
Gotcha.
But I don't there will not be 3 teams coming out that division.
No, I think you have to win the division.
I don't
I think it's 2 teams. I think it's 2 teams.
Right. There's 2 teams that can come out that division, and I don't think it's going to be the Jets.
Brandon was good, my boy. Brandon from the block was good. Go ahead, Jay.
All right, so I might have to change my picks right quick, man. Because the way that I got it right now, so I might have to take Buffalo. I might have to go Buffalo under, man. I think I said Buffalo over 10. They might have to go under because I think it's gonna be the Jets in Miami. I think it's gonna be the Jets in Miami. I really think it's gonna be the Jets in Miami, man. Like I said, the only thing with Miami is Tua that scares me, but the Jets, man, look. They're definitely going to be over 9 games, bro. And I get it. Their first, 12 games are just absolutely brutal. Their schedule, their whole AFC East schedule is brutal. The AFC, as we all know, is brutal. But the Jets, man, they to me, Aaron Rodgers has a similar situation to when Tom Brady went to Tampa Bay. He's got his guy, Alan Lazard. He's got Offensive Rookie of the Year, Garrett Wilson. He's got Corey Davis. He's got a lot of offensive weapons. He doesn't have to win the game. He can be a game manager, just get the ball in these guys' hands. Health is always, a thing, but they're definitely going to get over 9, and they're going to get over 9. That defense is still legit. He got his offensive coordinator, man, Aaron Rodgers. So I think they get over 9.5 games easily.
I love their defense. The offense, they have skilled position. They have talent at the skilled position. I don't think that receiving core is the equal of that receiving core that Brady inherited. I don't think it's even close.
But that's why I said it's similar. He's got Alan Lazard is good. He's got chemistry.
He's a good player, but he's not Mike Williams or Mike Evans. He's not of that. He's not even. You know what I mean? He's not of that ilk. He's on a good team. Lazard is your 3rd or 4th receiver. He's not like the guy. He's just a guy.
But he's a guy that he has chemistry with, and coming to a new team.
We all know that when you have the kind of clout that Aaron Rodgers have, you get to bring your boys along. He brought a lot of his people from the Packers, and the Jets are all about let's make Aaron comfortable. Let's make him feel empowered. I got that. It's about comfort. My concern with the Jets is I think they've tried to address it, but that O-line is shaky. And you're bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback who is mobile, but if he get cracked a couple of times, what are they going to do if he has to sit out 6 to 8 games? They're going to be right back where they were before with Wilson, and that ain't nothing but a pick fest. So I'm just saying I didn't have them as high because I'm concerned with their O-line. And look, we could talk about him bringing in his guys, but the guys that are going to be starting, that young receiving core that are going to be starting ahead of them, those are the guys that he needs to develop chemistry with. And I know they have talent on the outside, but if your O-line is trash, it won't matter what kind of talent you have on the outside.
Well, they said Joe Burrow's O-line was trash, and he went to the Super Bowl. And I know.
How old is Joe Burrow?
I know. I'm just saying he got 3 good, and I understand Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase.
Look at his receiving core, right?
Yeah, I understand.
But does that give you a testament on how good Joe Burrow actually is with a bad offensive line still to actually take him to the Super Bowl? That just really gives you a testament on how good he actually really is.
Don't remind me of that. I hate that I even brought that up. But I'm just saying, I think Aaron Rodgers is. I think he's gonna. I mean, we can't like Aaron Rodgers just won back-to-back MVPs. Like quarterbacking isn't his issue, and I get. I think Kyle said it. That's not in the postseason. I ain't talking about Aaron Rodgers in the postseason. I know what he is in the postseason, but I think he can get them to over 9 games in the in the regular season. We're gonna see though.
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight.
I agree that quarterbacking isn't an issue for Aaron Rodgers, but I think it's not an issue the waist up. I think the mind and the arm are great for Aaron Rodgers. My concern is the legs. Past couple of years, he doesn't want to move as much, which I get. The older you get as a quarterback, even if you got it from the waist up, the first thing that kind of goes is your mobility a little bit. You just slow down a little bit and you don't want to take the hits. That's not an issue when you have a great line. When you don't have a great line, you need to be a little more mobile. You need to hang in there a half a second longer. You need to not push it just to avoid taking the big hits. Can they protect him enough so where he's got to do what he's got to do? I don't think he's fallen off. I don't think he's washed. I think he's going to be all right. I just don't know if the line can protect him enough. I see them around 8 or 9 wins. I'm going to take the under. I think they're going to be competing for a playoff spot. I think that the schedule makers did them no favors. I think the loser of that first game, the loser of the Bills versus Jets, what is it going to do to that team? Because not only did you lose your first game, which is huge right now for both Buffalo and the Jets because they're both trying to set that pace. They both have these expectations. You lost it to your division. So now you're a division game back to a team that you need to beat. You need to rack up those division wins, and both have a hard schedule. So what does it do? Now, losing week 1 out of the gate isn't great for anyone, but as a Dolphin fan, if we lose to the Chargers week 1, I'm like, okay, we lost to the Chargers. Let's regroup. Now we're going to go play the Patriots. Got to win that division game, right? And then we beat the Patriots. Hey, we're 1-1. We're 1-0 in the division. It's a mindset kind of thing. You lose to Aaron Rodgers out of the gate. If you're Buffalo, you're like, okay, great. That was a win in our minds. That was one of the easy ones, right? Now we got all these other ones coming up. If you're the Jets and you beat Josh Allen out of the gate, now you're like, dude, we're in first place. We knocked off Josh Allen. This is a thing. We're riding right now. It's going to be interesting out of the gate. What happens?
A-Rod, man, you better do me a solid, man. I believe in you, A-Rod. You better get it done, man. You better get him over 9.
So we got the last team of the division. That is the New England Patriots. New England 7.5 wins. Chris, over or under 7.5 wins for the Patriots this year?
I just feel under. I mean, I don't think they're going to do well in the division. Bill Belichick has been owned by Miami as of late. Even when Brady was there, they were usually splitting those games for whatever reason. Miami kind of has his number. Buffalo, he's done okay with at times, but I just think there's too much quarterback power in that division. There's too much offense in that division. And I don't think the Patriots are going to have the offense to keep up with the division. Now, I understand, a elite defense slows down offenses, but let's look at that argument. Let's look at, who has the best defense in the league last year? The Niners. And what happened when they faced great quarterbacks? The great quarterbacks still got theirs, right? Elite defenses slow down offenses. Elite defenses lock up bad offenses or average offenses, but elite defenses don't do much against elite offenses. They'll take points off here and there, but you just don't see many situations where Mahomes gets completely shut down or Joe Burrow gets completely shut down. And I think that's what the Patriots are looking at in their division. You're playing against elite talent. And I just don't think they're going to be able to hang. I think they're going to be somewhere in the 6, 7, 8 win range, but I'm going to go under because I think they're closer to 6 or 7.
Jay?
I hate agreeing, man. But Chris got a point, man. Have you seen the Patriots schedule, bro? Like, have y'all seen the Patriots schedule? They start off with Philly, I believe. Like, they got Philly, the Dolphins, the Jets, Cowboys, Saints, Raiders, Bills. Like,
the Saints might be their first win.
I don't think they get the Saints.
I do.
Derek Carr and that defense, I think they're in New Orleans. Like, man, I don't know, man. That's a tough schedule, man. And I don't know if New England added enough pieces to offensive wise. Defensively, Bill Belichick always has them in a position to win games. He's got them always geared up to play, and that's what's going to keep them in games. So their running back game, it's not too bad, but I don't think they get over the 7.5 mark. I think it's going to be that's a tough task to ask for them to do in this division and in the AFC. So I unfortunately I have to go with the under. And I'm gonna say you another one. I think in the next year or two, man, Bill Belichick might be out of there if things don't turn around, man. I think it's a lot of tension between Kraft and Belichick. I think Bill Belichick might be out of there in the next year or two. So that's my take.
Got you. All right, Mo.
I'm gonna go over. I think it's at least an 8-win team. They don't have a lot of offensive firepower, but I think that's going to be an elite defense. And I also think if their offense is competent, not great, it doesn't have to resemble Miami's or look like Buffalo's can look at times. I think Bill Belichick is probably going to have one of his better coaching seasons. So I'm going to go over. I think that Mac Jones will do enough. I think the running game will do enough. When you look at Patriots games this season, I would look at the scores consistently. I think their goal is not that they'll give up points, but how many points do they give up? What they're really good at usually is in the red zone. So I'm going to say that they're going to go over. I'm not talking nothing crazy, 10 or 11, but I think they're at least an 8-win team.
Gotcha. So we got who are you taking, Mo? So you got 3 quarterbacks. You got 3 quarterbacks right here. Who are you taking? Elway. You got John Elway, Steve Young, Peyton Manning in their prime. Who are you taking? Who you got?
So as a fan, I like Elway better than either of the other 2 guys. I'm just talking about as a fan. Gotcha. Because of what he was able to do with what he had. If you remember his career, I'm talking about early in his career when he was taking teams to Super Bowls that had no business being in Super Bowls, no Pro Bowl running backs, no great receivers, no great defense. It was him making something out of nothing over and over and over again. But if you're just asking me career-wise at their peaks and their primes, I'm going to take Peyton Manning. I'm going to take Peyton Manning because I saw what Peyton could do. They've said this before, and people they wear it like it's disrespect, but I think it's a nice compliment. Peyton Manning is probably the greatest regular season quarterback we've ever seen. No argument. He was a beast all throughout the regular season. Recognized coverages. He could recognize your sets quicker than you could. He was in the Mike's head more times than not. So I would go with Peyton Manning because of that. But I certainly, who I like more, who I appreciate more in the bigger picture because of what he did, is Elway.
All right, Jay.
I'm going with Mr. Omaha, man. Mr. Omaha, Peyton Manning, man. I seen him up close and personal for a long time. 16 years, and he demolished my squads damn near them whole years. So I'm going with him. Just kind of alluding to what Mo said. You know, he's just that guy, man. His pre-line or pre-snap adjustments was just fantastic. I mean, he could throw your whole defense off just by calling a dummy play and get it out of his hands real quickly. So Peyton Manning, definitely, I'm going with him. He's that guy. Like Mo said, man, he's probably one of the best regular season QBs we've seen in a while. So I'm going Peyton.
Chris, who you going with?
You know, I hate to keep that trend going, but I think I'm going to. If you look at, so the knock on Peyton is his playoff record, right? Peyton Manning was 14-13 in the playoffs. Elway and Young were actually 14-8. They had the same record in the playoffs, but they all had 14 playoff wins. Obviously, Peyton has more losses because he got his teams there more. But that's what I want, right? If I own a team and I'm picking one of these quarterbacks to lead my franchise, I want the guy that's going to get me to the playoffs. Now, granted, he lost more playoff games than then, but he was there. And when you're talking about greatness, what are we splitting it down in between? Who's going to get me to the playoffs more? And Peyton did that more over his career. Not to mention, like Mo said, if you just watch like some of the NFL film stuff of Peyton Manning as he's breaking huddle and he's calling out defensive plays, like he's literally, he knows what they're going to run because that's the work that he put in going like that. Him and Brady, you know, you want to talk about quarterback minds. And I don't know if we're ever going to see two like them. And I would even put Peyton ahead of Brady, to be completely honest with you, because yeah, Brady did some crazy things at the line as well. But literally, if you just listen, like Peyton trash talked to you by telling you what you were going to do. Like was his. It was intellectual trash talk because he's coming out of the line telling people where the mic is, what the mic's going to do, what defense they're going to be in, where you're going to be open. Yeah. And then as he tells the defense, he goes and does it. So not only is he telling you what you're going to do and how he's going to beat you, literally you're not able to adjust quick enough once you realize he knows what's up. So it's literally like the greatest show of like gotcha that you might be able to see in professional sports. And then to see defenses just not be able to adjust quickly enough because they know they're got, but they also can't get out of it fast enough to not be got. So Freddie, what in the...
I take playoff Eli over playoff Peyton, but I take regular season Peyton over regular season Eli.
Ooh, Eli, man, and I like Eli too, guys. I do, and I take nothing away from Eli. But literally, if you look at the teams that Eli won Super Bowls with, they just got hot in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they were average teams going into the playoffs. I think one of them was the last place seed going into the playoffs, and they just got, and again, I take nothing away from Eli. They got hot. He played great. They did what they had to do. But Freddie, Eli over. All right.
That's why Freddie wouldn't be a GM. Fired. Fired.
So we do got a little bit of breaking news. CJ Gardner-Johnson for the Detroit Lions will be out for a period of time.
Damn.
He's been carted off the field. He did get carted off the field for the Detroit Lions. He had an all-pro season last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's going to be out for the season. For the Detroit Lions. So that's a huge loss for Detroit in the secondary right there. So just
hey coach, not to cut you off neither, man. They said Nyheim Hines from Buffalo.
Yeah, from Buffalo, the special teams guy / running back. He's out.
Buffalo. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, so we here, the last segment of the stream, and y'all know what the last segment is, Mo's boxing segment, but he's gonna give us boxing tomorrow. So I got a boxer. I got a boxer from Mo, then that everybody should know about. And if y'all haven't heard of him, his name is Andre SOG Ward. If y'all haven't watched Andre Ward play fight, he fought in the 168-pound division, which is light heavyweight division. He was like the Floyd Mayweather of the welterweight division, 147 and 160-pound division, 147-pound and 54-pound division. Andre Ward does a great job of taking away what you do best, whether if it's the right hand or the left hand. Now, Andre Ward, he did go 32-0. He has 16 wins by knockout. He has 7 total title wins, 7 title defenses. He has none no contests, none no draws. He also has a great resume. He fought in the toughest tournament, which is the Super 6 tournament. If y'all don't know what the Super 6 tournament is, that was the toughest. But at the end of the day, That's for to see who's the best, really the best light heavyweight in a division. And during this time now, you got people running away from each other. Now in that Super 6 tournament, you cannot run away from each other. So a little story on Andre Ward. He was not supposed to win that tournament. He was not picked to win that tournament. People like Darrell was picked to win the tournament. You had people like Carl Froch, Mikkel Kessler, Arthur Abraham was guys that was picked to win the tournament. So his first fight, real actual contest, was against Edison Miranda, a respectable boxer that did lose to forgot who he lost to. He got pummeled by Kelly Pavlik. But Andre Ward caught him early. And Andre Ward was kind of the guy that got a stiff jab, that got a devastating left hand, but he's a very good defensive fighter. His second battle, his first test that he overcame was Darnell Boone. He was knocked down versus Darnell Boone. He got up and he dominated the whole rest of the fight versus Darnell Boone. Then he goes to the Super 6 tournament. You remember Mikkel Kessler, the one we was talking about? Joe Kozaki beat Kessler. Kessler is a tough, rugged fighter. He loves to go all out. He loves to fight. He loves to box. Andre Ward, soon as he came out of the bell rung, he took control from the rest of the fight. The fight was basically ended on an accidental headbutt. It was 3 accidental headbutts in the ring. But for start to finish, Andre Ward dominated with the stiff jab, dominated with the left hand, hitting him with the left hand, hitting him to the body. Andre Ward doesn't get enough credit for how well he goes to the body and how well he breaks guys down. That's going to come into play later when I talk about the other fight, the last fighter that he beat twice in a row. But Mikkel Kessler was one of the toughest fighters in the Super 6 division and light heavyweight as well. Then he faces Alan Green in the tournament. He also faces Bika in the tournament, which is Jermaine. The actual matchup supposed to be Jermaine Taylor, but Jermaine Taylor pulled up out of the tournament because he got knocked out by Carl Froch. Carl Froch in that fight, all he had to do was stand up on his foot, and he would have won the fight on points. But Carl Froch knocked him out in the 12th round because Jermaine Taylor has a history of getting tired and fatigued longest the fight goes long. So he pulled up out of the fight. Darrell pulled up out of the fight after the controversial knockdown. After he slipped and fell, and Arthur Abraham ends up hitting him while he was down. So he caught headaches and concussions, and they replaced Glenn Johnson, 40-year-old Glenn Johnson, in the tournament, which Carl Froch beat by split decision. So he ends up fighting Arthur Abraham, dominating Arthur Abraham, the person that one of the guys, the favorites that they had winning the tournament. He goes and he dominates Carl Froch. And this is the one. This was a huge mistake. Y'all remember Chad? If you don't, you remember Chad Dawson, right? Mo?
Dawson.
Chad Dawson,
good fighter.
He beat Bernard Hopkins. He beats Jean Pascal. But this seems to be a hell of a mistake by Chad Dawson, calling out Andre Ward, a fight he had no business really calling him out. But I understand you want to test yourself. You want to see how good you are. Andre Ward put on a boxing clinic. He got him out of there by the 11th round. He hit him with a stiff left hand. And Andre Dawson was cut from right here to his nose. His nose was bleeding. After he hit him with that left hand, his legs got a little wobbly. Andre Ward went to attack, and he went down. And the referee asked him multiple times, "Do you want to finish the fight?" He was saying, "Yep." And he asked him one more time. After he asked him that final time, he said, "Do you want to stop the fight?" Chad Dawson said, "Stop the fight." And that was the breaking point of Chad Dawson. Then he fought Solomon Varela. He fights him, a real good, respectable boxer. But these two fights, so you had Triple G up in the division. Triple G didn't want to fight him. Didn't want to fight Andre Ward because he knew Ward was going to be a problem to him. So he didn't want to fight him. Canelo didn't want nothing to do with him. So you had some guys are avoiding Andre Ward. But you know what Andre Ward decides to do? He decides to go up and fight the Crusher, Sergey Kovalev. Sergey Kovalev at this time was knocking out everybody and their mother. At this point in time, you wasn't surviving in that ring with Sergey Kovalev. He comes off a knockout victory versus Jean Pascal twice. He knocks him out. So he goes into that fight. Andre Ward gets knocked down in the second round. So he's already down 3 points. Already down 3 points. He loses the first round. He gets knocked down in the second round, which is 3 points because when you get knocked down, that's a 10-8 round. Yep. So he comes in, he comes back, he weathers the storm, and he finishes the fight, and he wins all the middle of the rest of the rounds, and he wins it on a split decision. And Sergey Kovalev disagreed with that decision. So what's the right thing to do? And Andre Ward was battling through shoulder injuries and all that. He comes back, second fight. He hits him. He hurts him with the right. He hurts him with a left hand at the top of the head. Sergey Kovalev foot was wobbly. He goes on attack. He hits him 5 straight times to the body, and he knocks him out. He knocks the Crusher out. And after that, that was the end of Andre Ward's career. And after that, Sergey Kovalev was no more the same fighter. No. He went on to lose to Canelo Alvarez, get put to sleep by Canelo Alvarez, and after that, that was a shell. He was a shell of himself pretty much. But Andre Ward was kind of like a Floyd Mayweather. When you get that, when they figure you out, when they make they know how to make adjustments through the fight. And just like Floyd Mayweather beat Ricky Hatton was no more the same after he did that. He gets knocked out by Manny Pacquiao, put to sleep in the middle of the ring. He beats Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto pretty much aren't the same again. These are the type of fighters, Andre Ward. These are the type of guys, Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather. They do a great job of taking away what you do best, and these two guys are a legend of the sport. But Andre Ward is definitely one of the best fighters in the light heavyweight division, best fighter of all time, one of the best fighters of all time, and he's a future Hall of Famer.
Great defensive fighter, Coach. Great defensive fighter. That was a great breakdown, Coach. Andre Ward is underrated.
Yeah,
because his career was cut short. Who knows how much longer he could have gone, how many more titles he could have won? Because you could see him actually going beyond light heavyweight and maybe even treading into heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
He's that talented and that tactical a fighter. He's one of those guys that can adjust to your strategy in ring. Just a natural gifted fighter and can fight multiple styles. Like you said, I've seen fights where he made a point to attack the body, to take the other guy's legs away. Just strategic, brilliant, gifted fighter. That's a great breakdown, Coach.
Yep. And
That's
he was
a great breakdown.
He was one of the best body punchers in the game, best body punchers in the game. And he also had a respectable manager in Virgil Hunter. Virgil Hunter is a manager that doesn't play, that don't play no games. A lot of these managers, like to take their foot off the gas. They don't have fighters that's disciplined. But Virgil Hunter, that's a guy that's been in Andre Ward's life since his father passed away. And Virgil Hunter did a great job with Andre Ward. And Andre Ward hasn't lost a fight since he was 12. He won the gold. He is a gold medalist too, one of our few gold medalists that we have as well. So yeah, at the end of the day, Andre Ward is one of the best boxers of all time, especially in the light heavyweight division. Y'all haven't got a chance to watch Andre Ward, watch Andre SOG Ward. And he also dethroned, like I said, Kovalev, he dethroned one of the top boxing punchers in the game at that point of time. A lot of people said he couldn't beat him. That was a dangerous fight, it was a fight for him. But Andre Ward, when he needed to adjust after getting knocked down the first fight, he adjusts and pulled through and weathered the storm. The second fight, he went to the body 5 straight times, and Kovalev dropped after taking a shot to the head, to the top of the forehead, and Andre Ward went on for the kill. So that is the story of great Andre SOG Ward, and Mo will have his about tomorrow. So other than that, great morning show, you guys. Mo, tell the people they can follow you at.
Find me here in the Empire with you Monday through Friday, Coffee Sports in the morning, and you can check me out tonight with Kyle and the crew on the Cheap Seats at 6:30. So check us out, Cheap Seats.
Jay?
Hey, man, you guys can find me here on Monday and Tuesday with you guys. Thursdays, you can find me in the Man Cave Sports Podcast, which is on 613 Faith Production on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. You can also find me on IOW and on Twitter Spaces on Saturdays and Sundays, man. The late night Twitter Spaces will come through Saturdays and Sundays. And all 4 social media platforms, Jay Jones. I'm there.
Gotcha.
Always good to have you on, Jay.
Man, I love being here. Thanks for having me, fellas.
And don't forget, man, like I say, this week is fight week. This week, I will be Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford this week. I will be covering that fight. That's a big fight. the biggest fight that we pretty much had in the welterweight division, man. So of all time, like I said, of all time, that's gonna be a heated battle. But like I said, I'm gonna be looking forward to. Matter of fact, we don't do this much. Mo, give me a prediction on Saturday night. Give me a prediction. Who's winning that fight?
So this is hard for me because Bud is actually my favorite fighter.
Yep.
I want Bud to win. I don't know if he can break through Earl Spence's jab. If I was a betting man and I had to bet money on it, I would go with Spence because of his jab and hand speed.
Gotcha. Jay, who you got winning that fight?
I like both, man, but I'm going with Spence, man. I'm going with Spence. Hey, I'm about to go train right now.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I just want to see a good fight. I like both of them, but I think Spence might get it done though. I'm going with Spence.
Gotcha. I'm going with Earl Spence Jr. too. So if he wins this fight, he will be undisputed in that division, and he's talking about moving up in weight too, because he is not a 147 pounder. He's much bigger than that. Trust me, that is not his walk around weight. He came out and admitted he's about 160 pounds, 60 odd pounds. So he will maybe moving up after this fight.
Wow, to like super middleweight or even light heavyweight.
Yep, he may be moving up soon after this fight. So other than that, as for your boy Coach Dante, your boy Mo, your boy Jay, we'll see y'all at 6:00 my time on the cheap seats. Shout out to y'all guys. So have a good rest of your day, you guys.